Now residing with my parents, the realization hit me hard. My marriage, once believed to bring happiness, had only been a facade. My husband, whom I trusted, turned out to be using me, and I felt betrayed. My in-laws, oblivious to their own naivety, seemed oblivious to the practicalities of life. Faced with the threat of being kicked out, I questioned the essence of being a family with such people. The decision was clear. I needed to take charge swiftly. Reaching out to everyone, I initiated preparations for the next chapter of my life. As for the household items, I arranged for a service to pick them up the following day. Furniture and appliances were taken away, prompting a panicked response from my husband. I am Michelle Thompson, a 35-year-old woman who has been working from home since college. Despite a monthly commute, I am a full-time employee, thanks to the accommodating nature of my company. A motorcycle accident during my college years left my legs disabled, confining me to a wheelchair. Despite ongoing rehabilitation efforts, the prospect of improvement remained bleak. Embracing my condition, I had initially resigned to the idea of lifelong singleness. However, a blind date arranged by friends reintroduced the desire for companionship. I met Ken, my now husband, who, despite being 5 years my senior, exuded youthful energy. His straightforward demeanor, though bordering on rudeness, intrigued me. Ken's genuine curiosity about my life in a wheelchair set him apart, and I appreciated his unfiltered interest. Despite societal norms, his bold inquiries made me feel seen and understood. As we continued dating, I convinced myself that happiness awaited me with Ken. Blinded by the prospect of a lasting connection, I eagerly accepted his proposal after just 6 months of dating. Immediately after our marriage, things took an unexpected turn. Ken and I decided to move into my standalone house, which, despite being a rental, was relatively pricey but exceptionally wheelchair-friendly. It seemed the previous tenant had made the place more accessible, and Ken appreciated the spaciousness. Since I spent a lot of time at home, I naturally took on most of the housework. Occasionally, when I asked Ken for help, he would dismissively claim exhaustion, refusing to lift a finger or assist me in the bath. Despite managing on my own, bathing took longer, and I reminisced about the days when a carer visited twice a week to help. Frustrations mounted as Ken neglected to put away bath items, making the process even more time-consuming. Pleas for understanding fell on deaf ears as Ken failed to recognize the house's design catered to my needs. It became evident that Ken's initial attraction had been to the house appliances and my ability to handle chores despite my disability. His unemployment and nightly partying further strained our relationship. While the realization was heart-wrenching, I clung to the notion that our marriage must have some love to it. Financial issues crept in with Ken increasingly relying on me for money. Seeking advice from his mother only brought biased support, leaving me feeling lost without any family to turn to. Friends dismissed my concerns, emphasizing Ken's facade. Ken's unpredictable behavior fueled by alcohol pushed me to my limits. I grappled with the dilemma of enduring the situation or facing a solitary future. Just as the idea of divorce started to gain prominence, Ken unexpectedly proposed living with his parents, stunned. I learned he intended for them to move into our place. While I understood the desire to be near aging parents, their good health made the proposition perplexing. I couldn't comprehend why Ken's parents were considering moving from their own home to ours. Did they genuinely need to stay here? With 4 people in the house, it would be cramped, and given that I work from home, it would be quite inconvenient. "You're always thinking about yourself, huh? I never thought you were this selfish," Ken accused. "I'm just questioning why they need to move here when they have their own place. Our home is more spacious, modern, and equipped with all the conveniences. Besides, it's designed to be accessible for elders. If Ken's parents move in, I'd have to be on my toes during work hours. While Ken is rarely home, his retired parents would likely be around a lot, sharing the bathroom and kitchen. I'm slower than most people, and I can foresee the challenges of such a living situation. Can I have some time to think? "You better hurry up. We don't have much time," Ken retorted. Despite his claim of limited time, Ken wasted no time. By the weekend, he brought his parents over, making me suspect they had been planning this move for a while. "You know, I've been thinking, maybe you should consider a facility," Ken's mother suggested. What I couldn't believe what I was hearing. A facility for me. "Yeah, it's a good idea, right? You have your own limits. In a facility, they take care of everything." It became apparent that Ken wasn't just contemplating his parents moving in, he was also considering sending me away. "I'd visit you from time to time." That statement jolted me awake. If not now, then when, Ken? What am I to you, your wife, right? Would you really tell your beloved wife to go to a facility? Hold on. When did I say I love you, Michelle? Ken's words flushed my face with anger. This guy, Ken, was using me. Wasn't it my fault for letting it get to this point? I thought I had to draw a line. Then, even more shocking words came out of Ken's mouth. "In this house, I'm going to live with my parents. You, an outsider, can go live in some cheap facility." "What did you just say?" I looked to his parents, hoping for support, but they just had eerie grins on their faces. "Why are you laughing? What's the big deal? Were they targeting my home even before our marriage?" "Things have been escalating too fast lately. I need to evict these people. Please leave," I said. "What? Leave now? How can you talk to my parents like that?" I felt like I saw the real Ken. He was yelling at me with such fury. If he cares so much for his parents, why doesn't he earn his own money and build them a house? Why does he have to take mine? My head felt like it was on fire. "It's okay, Ken. Michelle must have been shocked since we came unexpectedly," his mother said. "We just came to check the place today." "Yeah, we need to check before moving in. Looks like there are more appliances than last time. Seems comfy to live in." They were genuinely here to take over my home. In an attempt to steady my nerves, I took a deep breath, inhaling oxygen. A sudden question lingered in my mind. If I leave, how are they planning to sustain themselves? His parents rely on a pension, and Ken is just a part-timer. I'm covering all the rent and living expenses. Who's going to handle the $2,800 monthly payment? Disregarding my concerns, his parents cheerfully departed, with Ken following suit. "I'm going to stay at my parents' tonight. Hold on, we need to talk," I said. "There's nothing to talk about. I, the man of the house, have decided." Left alone in shock, I couldn't linger in that state. I promptly contacted a real estate agent I knew. When Ken returned the next day, he saw the organized belongings and chuckled. "Oh, started packing. Found a place to move to already?" "Yes, I have," I said. Ken appeared genuinely surprised by my swift response. "And here's the card of a divorce lawyer. Here you go, Ken. From now on, let's communicate through the lawyer and divorce." "Why?" "If you're kicking me out, there's no point in being married anymore, right?" Ken looked as if he had been hit by a ton of bricks. He hadn't anticipated my swift mention of divorce. "You can't live without me, right? I don't understand what you mean. Who else would marry you?" It was at this moment that I realized how arrogant and overconfident Ken had been. He approached me, assuming I was a lonely, disabled single woman. "I'm independent, have money, and never struggle with my living. Plus, I stay home all the time, so I handle all the chores for him. I'm the ideal woman. Money keeps coming in even if he doesn't work. He thought I wouldn't leave because I couldn't find anyone else. That's why he was shocked when I casually brought up divorce." "Why?" "You know, if you divorce me, you might be single for the rest of your life." "Well, if it means living a married life with you, I'd rather be single forever. Whether I spend the rest of my life alone isn't for you to decide." The typically submissive me was now fighting back, and he was getting flustered. I could tell that Ken was panicking. I never thought he was such a weak man. I don't know why I had been putting up with him for so long. Once I decided on the divorce, I felt the weight lift off my shoulders. I guess I have been too focused on getting married anyway. You don't have to move out right away. I didn't mean to rush you into a facility that soon. Oh, it's fine. I'll do as you wish. Don't worry. You won't find a place that fast. Think it over, okay? I've already secured a place, so it's all right. What? Wait a minute. Isn't this too soon? Observing Ken's shifting attitudes from smugness to panic only heightened my irritation. Calmly, I explained, "The facility staff are informed and know about my situation, so everything's fine." "Wait, when did you even set all this up? Were you preparing all along?" Ken questioned. "Yes, even before I met you. In fact, I had been considering my retirement and had an eye on a particular facility, more like a condo. After an injury during my hospital stay, I delved into various investment books, diversifying my investments between my salary and my parents' inheritance. The facility I had my eye on, I had already purchased and have been renting it out for income. I never mentioned this to Ken. It's my hidden asset. We don't need to get a divorce. I get it. You can stay here. Let's live with my parents. Do you not get it?" "Why would I ever do that?" He seemed pretty dense. Even after bringing up divorce, he still believed he was the only one for me. "Sorry, but my mind's made up." "What's your problem? You're so selfish. If you come crying back later, it's not my problem." "I won't be, so don't worry." Ken fell silent, deep in thought for what seemed like hours. During that time, I started packing up my things. Then I heard Ken making a phone call, likely talking to his parents. It seemed pathetic, relying on them for such decisions. Eventually, Ken approached me. "Fine. We'll get a divorce. Just leave quickly," Ken said begrudgingly, perhaps realizing he might miss having me around like a housemaid. But he probably thought that living with his parents would save him from household chores. He has a house, and it's fully furnished. No issues for daily life, at least for now. With that thought, he headed back to his parents' home. "I'm going to talk to my folks about what's next. Get ready to move out quickly." "Yes, I'll do that." I finished moving all my stuff within a week, and during that time, Ken never showed up. We met again a day after the move was done. As I was trying to start my new life in my new house, Ken called me outside and said, "Hey, what's going on? This place is almost empty. Where are the appliances?" I had a service pick up those items for me. I called the service the next day and had them collect all the furniture and appliances. My husband became agitated and started grumbling. Not only Ken, but also his parents were there. "All the appliances here were bought by me. They are all from when I was single. The only thing that's yours is right there." There were only 3 cardboard boxes. I did leave the clear clothing container we bought after marriage. "Michelle, we can't live with this. We need to split the property if we're divorcing." "That's right. We can't live here like this." "What are you talking about? Nobody can live here." "What do you mean? The rent's $2,000. Ken and his parents were stunned. "I told Ken when we got married, this isn't your own house." "No, it isn't. I got a bit of a discount on the rent because I asked a real estate agent I know. If I move out, the rent will go up even more, given that this is a property with disability access. And I've already received several inquiries from people with the same concerns. I recommended that they move out." "Why didn't you tell us sooner? What are we going to do now?" Ken's mother was notably agitated. "I don't know. I did tell Ken." "I didn't hear about it. I'll sue you," Ken threatened. I saw that coming. Honestly, from an outsider's perspective, it might look like I selfishly got a divorce, broke the lease, and took all the furniture and appliances. But I was sure. "You can sue? But do you even have the money for it?" Ken's face twisted. He couldn't afford a lawyer even if, by some miracle, he could. "I have an ace up my sleeve." I showed them some pictures. "When did you take these?" The pictures showed Ken gambling and womanizing. "I spent my money on this. I'm ready to use these in court, Ken." "What the hell? I thought everything was going well." His parents were particularly agitated. "What's going on?" Then suddenly, Ken started to apologize. "I'm sorry, please come back, I need you, Michelle." "You're the one who kicked me out. We're already divorced, So what are you talking about? Besides, you don't love me, do you? If that's the case, I'll just leave. This time, even Ken's parents began to apologize. We don't have a place to live anymore. That was a shock. What do you mean? Our house got foreclosed on. Turns out, Ken's family home will be repossessed in a few weeks. They've gone bankrupt. The debt that his father accumulated grew like a snowball and became an amount that's impossible for retirees to pay. Ken, who used to receive an allowance from his parents when he was single, probably thought he was in trouble and decided to get married, hoping for support. Now I understand why his mother was so kind before we got married. I can't help you now. We're strangers. Even if my folks and I end up homeless, are you okay with that? You brought it on yourself, didn't you? Ken's ulterior motive was clear as day. I firmly told him I had no intention of giving him even one piece of furniture or electronics. Please don't say that. Have some mercy. It's too late for apologies. Now sort it out on your own. That's why I'm asking. I can't sort it out. I told Ken and his father, who were so persistent, that if they couldn't pay the rent, they should move out. The place is in my name, so if I cancel the lease, that's the end of it. Evicting them was easy. In the end, even if the lease was transferred, Ken probably couldn't afford to live here. I heard all of this from the real estate agent. I can't pay the rent. In the end, I decided to cancel the lease here. I no longer need this place, and since the divorce is final, everything is over. I somehow kicked out the stunned family of 3 and locked the door. What are we going to do now? I can move into a facility. Goodbye. Facilities like that probably have no freedom and are the worst, right? Good luck in that crappy environment. Ken felt unsatisfied, not having the last word, because he spat out those bitter words. I ignored Ken and his parents and left the scene. But Ken wasn't going to stay put. A few days later, he showed up at the facility where I had moved. Hey, what's this about? Ken looked like he was about to faint. It's not a crappy environment at all. It's a luxury facility worth $1 million. I had saved up money, and with the earnings from my investments, I bought this place. The previous occupant had left at the perfect time, so I was able to move in immediately. With the sale of my house and some extra income, I still had plenty left over. This facility is top-notch, with doctors and helpers on site. The floor plan is just like an apartment with plenty of privacy. The room is a 3-bedroom so families can live together. There are even couples and families living here. I can call a helper with the push of a button, and there's assisted bathing every day. I originally thought of this as my final residence, but I'm glad I made the move. You had this much money then? Why? Ken looked puzzled. I really don't want you coming all the way here. We're strangers now. Please leave. Then Ken suddenly started acting all sweet toward me. Honestly, it's creepy. Can't you just let me live here? What are you talking about? That's impossible. We're divorced. Face reality. That's why. Let's get remarried. I'm living in a motel. Now isn't that pitiful? I can't get a job because I don't have an address. At the motel, he's such a smooth talker. He seems to have quickly abandoned his own parents. In the end, he only thinks about himself. Why don't you take a look in the mirror? You look pathetic living off your parents at your age, becoming a freeloader after marriage, and now begging on the streets. Ken's face turned bright red. You're not ashamed to be clinging to your ex-wife. Look, everyone's watching. Residents peeking from their balconies were watching. Actually, I had asked them in advance to look out if my ex-husband came to visit. I thought Ken would surely come looking for me at least once, either to gloat over my miserable state in the facility or to beg. The residents were very cooperative. They purposely looked at Ken with pity. It's like a real-life drama. I want to applaud them. Ken finally noticed the stares and seemed to realize how embarrassing he was being. I won't ask any more. With a pale face, he muttered those words and disappeared. I don't think he'll come here anymore. Later, when I went out, I ran into my mother-in-law working at a supermarket checkout. My father-in-law was a janitor, and my mother-in-law was a cashier. As soon as my mother-in-law spotted me, she turned her face and tried to hide. She was being scolded by a young employee for her attitude. Ken was apparently introduced to a job by someone he met at the motel cafe and was being exploited at a very low-paying job site. I frequently host home parties and live happily every day with people from the same facility. I also became good friends with other wheelchair users. If I had known such a community existed, I would have moved here sooner. I found the time to attend physical therapy sessions. My current goal is to get my legs moving on my own. I lead a fulfilling life both at